When I was a little kid, I loved gazing at the stars, imagining that they were looking back at me like we had a little secret and like their twinkling was there winking at me. And my dad explained that stars were millions of miles away and that they were explosions of gas and dust. And he also explained that the universe was infinitely large and still expanding. These ideas blew my mind. I couldn't imagine how far away millions of miles is, and how could something be infinitely large and still expanding? It really made my head hurt. But I tried to imagine it. Later on an airplane with my dad, we looked out at the window and we saw this blanket of clouds beneath us, and I just marveled at how could it be that we were actually flying through the sky. And he went right there to that marveling place with me, and then he held up his plastic cup with water in it, and he said, "Isn't this really amazing too? Think of what a caveman would say if he could see this. See how the rim of it is perfectly round and the plastic is perfectly transparent, and it's so light and it doesn't break if you drop it. Like, isn't this really magical too?" And in my dad's hand, the plastic cup became as miraculous as the flight through the sky. Later on, I thought I'd be a scientist, but I didn't become a scientist. But I still love to contemplate physical reality, especially for that breathtaking sense of awe that it brings me. And recently I was reading about the creation of the universe in a new book by Michael Singer, which, by the way, I highly recommend. It's called Living Untethered. And in the start of it, he explains for the layperson how the universe came into being, how the Big Bang created creation, which is another thing that's so hard to understand, that before that there was nothing. And there can't even be a before that because there was no time. Anyway, so he explains how the universe was filled with radiation and became hydrogen clouds, and then hydrogen clouds coalesced into stars, and how all the elements that we know were forged in fusion reactions in stars, and how this process from billions of years ago created every atom on Earth and every atom in our bodies. His point is that we are literally made out of stars. When we look up at the stars, we're not just seeing something beautiful. We're seeing where we came from. Every atom in our bodies is billions of years old and came from those twinkling lights, those gargantuan explosions, trillions of miles away. Many of the elements could not be made in a regular star like our sun, but only in supernovae and neutron star collisions. Take a moment to absorb that. Look at your hands, feel your heart. Those atoms that you see and feel are each billions of years old, and they each come from trillions of miles away, and they came together to form you. How does it feel to think about that? For me, it brings awe. It makes me feel like something unexpected opened up, and it makes me feel held in a kind of belonging with the universe, with the feeling that the universe is part of me and I'm part of it. Nowadays, in our urban age of workaholism and information overload, it's easy to forget about the stars, leave science to the experts, and leave wonderment for children. It's easier to keep our gaze to the areas where we can feel confident and in control. But awe is an important doorway to gratitude. When we look up from our daily grind and allow awe in, every moment of our lives can appear miraculous. What makes it possible for you to be listening to these words right now, for me to be talking to you from afar? How many people had to work and become experts and work dedicatedly at their jobs to make this possible, from antiquity to now, to make it so that you can be here, clothed and comfortable, understanding these sound vibrations emanating from your screen? Open the door and step outside. How are the 100 trillion cells in your body cooperating for you to take a breath of fresh air? Awe reminds us what a what a privilege it is to be right here, right now, benefiting from the creative work of generations and countless intricate natural processes. To nourish our spirits with awe, we can make a practice each day. Make each day a treasure hunt for things that inspire awe. The poet Mary Oliver mastered this practice, and here's something she wrote. My work is loving the world. Here the sunflowers, there the hummingbird, equal seekers of sweetness. Here the quickening yeast, there the blue plums. Here the clam deep in the speckled sand. Are my boots old? Is my coat torn? Am I no longer young and still not half perfect? Let me keep my mind on what matters, which is my work, which is mostly standing still and learning to be astonished. We can all learn to be astonished. We can look around and say to ourselves, this is real. We can touch something and think about how it came into being. We can see how everything defies comprehension, but still appears to us and winks at us, and let ourselves fall into awe.